update and some back to school day basics. And then 3 folks, Dustin, Peter, and Tina from different parts of Minnesota who are going to share about their bike to school day engagement and beyond. So we have a very full call for you all this morning. I would love it if you could introduce yourselves in the chat. Our name, where you're calling in from, pronouns if you'd like to share them, and then icebreaker today is a favorite bike memory of yours, whether that's a bike ride you've been on, a bike ride you helped somebody else go on, a bike ride you planned. Would love to hear about your favorite biking memories in honor of Bike to School Day. All of us on this call are part of the Minnesota Safe Routes to School Network. We are hundreds of dedicated professionals from organizations and agencies and schools across the state that are helping build skills in our communities to make Minnesota a place where all students can walk and bike and roll to school and experience the joy of that. So we're really going to be focused on bike to school day and bike to school day engagement today. With that, we're a couple minutes after. I'll put the icebreaker in the chat also for folks who are just logging on. And I will toss it over to Kelly to start with the MNDOT update.
All right, perfect. I was just putting in my icebreaker. I like that. That's a good one. Okay, there is great speakers, so I want to just go in and provide some MNDOT updates, lay some foundation on our bike to school stuff as we get ready for Bike to School Day, which is like a month away. So on behalf of our consultants at Bicycle Alliance in Minnesota, who we contract with to do walk bike fun training, we have a few upcoming trainings available now. They just got scheduled, so you can see some dates there, and I will also drop the link to the chat if you want to see more about Walk Bike Fun, get contact info, or whatever it might be. Oops, meeting group chat, there we go. So a few events scheduled for next fall. So if you are still interested in getting Walk Bike Fun training, I believe there's still space. You can reach out to Angela at bikemin.org and she can help you get things scheduled. So I just dropped her chat. Oh, and Angela's here. And so she dropped her chat too. The other thing is the national conference is coming up. We are going to be able to offer a few scholarships to Minnesota folks who'd like to attend the conference. We are able to cover registration to the conference, which is about $500, $600. Unfortunately, we can't cover travel and, hotel or Airbnb stay. So hopefully you're able to get creative, or your organization can help cover some of that since the registration is covered, or, carpooling, or finding a buddy to rent an Airbnb for, or something like that. So I also dropped the link if you want to fill out that form to see if we can fill everyone's scholarships. We also have our, we're wrapping up here with our free Timberwolves tickets as well. If you have school safety patrol or kind of youth who have been working in Safe Routes to School that you'd like to get them to a game, it's a fun way to do it. At the end of the game, they get to go on the court and shoot some free throws. So what a wonderful memory that is. Next up is talking about Bike to School Day, which is today's content. It's coming up on May 8th. The International Bike to School Day has been celebrated for many, many years across the country and in Minnesota. We typically have one of the strongest turnouts in the Midwest, so I'd love to keep that going. You can register for Bike to School Day on the national website. We get all the contact info from this national website. And then we will mail you, MNDOT will mail you a packet of like 100 stickers, some reflective zipper pulls, and bike spoke cards that can go in the wheel. And maybe we will do some posters, and maybe a few bookmarks are in there too. So some stuff to give away and make your event better. And then this is a map. So if you're like, did all my schools register or anything like that, you can go here, click on Minnesota. You'll be able to see the full list of participants. So if you want to use it to see if folks in your county are there, or if you want to use it as a motivational tool to show a school that everyone around them is participating, maybe they should give it a try. We have 105 schools registered so far. So get registered if you're doing that. We'll start the mailings next week, so things will be getting out there. And then remember, we have a lot of our resources that are available. I'll go through those quickly, and I'll also drop the link if you want to save it. So different things for posters or punch cards or other activities you want to do. These should all be in Word or a PowerPoint file that you're able to change. Throw your school's logo on it, your public health agency's logo on it. You want to change up the text. It is just meant to be a helpful tool to start. You can use it as is, but please feel free to modify, change them to meet your needs. That's what they're there for. So examples of what those kind of look like is our punch cards. We have some of these postcards that can be used to promote Bike to School Day, or a reminder as spring is here that kids are in the walk and bike zone. Why don't they give it a try this spring? And then some sample text that can be out for Facebook posts or morning announcements. And again, some of the activities, there's a Bike to School Day bingo, so they can cross things off that they've seen. And again, you can use this as a template and make your own crossword or word search or bingo that's more relevant to your community, so it has more of a fun local tie to it. Go for it. And then we've also worked to get materials translated in Spanish, Somali, and Hmong. If any of our materials that you need translated, please let me know if it's in a different language, and we can use some MNDOT resources to get those materials translated for you. So just reach out. Oh, I didn't quite finish this, but Minnesota Bike to School, please use that hashtag as you are sharing photos so we can find them. We also will have our Facebook social media page if you'd like to tag us at Minnesota Safe Routes to School or use the hashtag, then we can find them and share them, and it makes for a really fun day. And then I think we're going to hear our kind of panel talk about this, but it is a fun day. It is a way to celebrate all the hard work that you're doing and celebrate the kids who are walking and biking and make it feel connected for those students who aren't on the bus. But you can also use it to leverage your ideas locally to try to get infrastructure changes, to try and do a community campaign around school zone speeds and slowing down this spring. You can do press releases. Usually the media will come out and take pictures or videos because it's fun and exciting. I know Dustin's on the panel, and the amount of earned media they get in Rochester is like outstanding. Invite those key stakeholders there so that you can start to get buy-in for the work, or have them see what it looks like at a local level, or just remind them how little those kiddos are who are walking and biking to school, and how important it is. So that can be your mayor, your city and county elected officials, your school board members, or school administration or transportation directors, your law enforcement partners, if you want to kind of show what congestion looks like or concerns might be there, or your SRO. Get your Safe Routes to School team out there to kind of celebrate, give high fives, or if you have your wellness committee as part of your Safe Routes team, try to get them out there to celebrate. Other infrastructure ideas is you could do a walk audit with partners since they're there for the event. After the event, you do a walk audit and see what the infrastructure looks like these days, or try and do a demonstration project. I know SHIP funds can support demonstration projects. Use it as a tool to do engagement with students. Why aren't they walking and biking more? What would it take? We have our engagement posters, which is like a democracy exercise. And then again, work with maybe your Towards Zero Death partners to do some community campaign or press release, yard signs, banners, whatever, to kind of get folks to slow down and watch for kids as they're walking and biking to school, or as spring is here. This was just another example from Rice County's social media last year, using the student survey data to kind of do some social norming around just how many kids are walking and biking and how many around the school bus. We are hoping to have our poster contest running. I'm looking to find some opportunities to do some giveaways with it. I haven't gotten those secured yet, but the poster contest is easy, and we'll try and do something to make it fun. Otherwise, you can do your own poster contest in your community, which is just having kids draw what biking makes them feel. And that we usually get some pretty fun ideas there. This is my contact information. I'm technically on spring break and out of the office this week, but I will get back to you next week if you have anything, any questions, anything. I know grants were communicated with those who were awarded and not awarded this year. So there might be some questions there, and we'll share the full awardee list at our next call. And with that, I will turn it back over to Elissa.
Thanks, Kelly. As always, a jam-packed 10 minutes from you. So I hope folks will reach out if they have questions. And as always, this call is recorded. If there's anything you missed, it'll be up on YouTube pretty soon. Thanks to Kelly and Max. With that, I'm very excited to kick it over first to Dustin to start talking about Bike to School Day engagement and beyond. Dustin, if you want to introduce yourself as you go into your presentation. And for folks, as we're going through these presentations from folks, if you want to put questions in the chat, if there are questions that come to you and you want to raise your hand, we'll try to do some Q&A as we move through, but I'll try to keep us relatively on time, so we might save some questions for the end if it turns out there's a lot that surface at a moment in time. So with that, I will toss it to you, Dustin.
Awesome. Am I coming through good?
You sound just great, and I can see your slides.
Cool, perfect. I am Dustin Morrow. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator for Rochester Public Schools, but I'm currently up on Lake Mille Lacs right now. It's our spring break as well, so kind of working remotely up here. And I'm going to talk about how we have worked through the years to do our Bike to School Day and just make it a multi-dimensional event. So a brief overview of what a couple things that I'm going to talk about is the planning of it, which is obviously the biggest part, and the collaboration, the different partners that we work with. As you can see in the pictures, me talking to all the students for the first one that we put on, and those were all donated bikes that the students received. And there's an RPD officer there. The execution, clear and concise plans, everybody knows exactly what they're doing. And then the follow-up, how to get better, the appreciation for all the people that help out, and improvements for the next year. So the planning part. So when we first started this, obviously you're going to want to start about 60 days in advance with your Safe Routes to School team, identify the goal that you want. As I said before, the multi-dimensional piece of it. Obviously fun is one huge goal, but students also being able to see the route that they'll be biking on the following year. We made sure to do 5th grade students to their new middle school. And then also road and infrastructure, if you want to plan around that, if you have any Safe Routes to School plans that you want to improve on actually getting the students biking on these roads. So identify the goal that you want to accomplish and try to make it multidimensional. You can register on the MNDOT website, as Kelly's talked about, and get the welcome packet. If you're just beginning, to identify the partnerships and make sure you delineate the responsibilities. The key partners that we work with is Olmsted County Public Health, myself, and Joanne Judge Dietz, who's the coordinator down here, is awesome, and she does a lot of the planning for us as well. We work with the police department. We make sure to choose schools that we're also looking to improve the infrastructure around as well, just so we can invite partners like Public Works, the road authority, to see how the students travel on those roads. Create an intentional plan, kind of what I've been talking about. VIPs to invite. Who do you want to invite? We invited the mayor, the superintendent, Rochester Public Works, who is our road authority for most of the roads, being strategic about it. I know the one we chose this year, we are doing a design assistance through MNDOT on one of the crossings. So, and we'll invite, I saw Matt just joined, who is our active transport coordinator down here. So good time to join, Matt. Thanks for that cue. And he'll be out there to watch and see how the students cross at that area, because that area is the only middle school that we have a crossing guard at in the district, and that's around $9,000 a year. So we're looking at ways to cut costs like everybody else. checklist, task list for the principals, identified partners. Like I said, for us, we choose students that specifically live within the walking and biking zone. And it's this year again, we're doing a fifth grade to their new middle school. So we'll leave our middle school, Willow Creek, and travel to the local elementary school and pick up students and then bring them back for a welcome party. And last year, the principal talked with the students. There's all the students lined up outside cheering. And the mayor talked to them as well, which they all loved. Just making sure to hit some of the other tasks, assigned crossings. Our police department super active with us, and they made sure to stop traffic. And then if students can be photographed or not, like Kelly said, we had a lot of news and media there, so just making sure that the students can be photographed. And I do have examples of a lot of the things that we talked about. The execution, obviously proper planning makes execution easy. As long as you're following all those tasks, you have defined roles for everybody. It makes it easy. Make sure you do a rehearsal before you bike to do a good brief to the adults and students, making sure everybody knows the route, having an adult lead and sprinkled in throughout, and then trail riders. And then most of all, have fun with the students. That's the key to it. So some of the follow-up that's really helped us is after action review, 3 things that went good, 3 things that went bad, and 3 things that you want to improve on for the following year, and collect feedback from all the partners to see where things went really good, see where things could have been better, making sure to send out thank yous, and then with the plan that you created prior to, follow up with the intentional planning, whether that's road changes, safe routes to school routes, different maps that you want to create, infrastructure change, whatever the goal that you may have had. So here's an example of our permission slip. Just kind of talks about the day, what we'll be doing, required parent signatures to bike for interviews, press release. This is something that Joanne, our public health, helped with to put out along with our communications director. And these are the slide decks that I send out. So this is not a complete one for this year, but it's just an example of what you could do. So I send this out to all the partners that we're working with. So just explaining what the event is, what will take place. I send out a timeline so everybody knows exactly where to go, what time we'll be leaving, to make sure we stay on track. And then if you can, so this is our middle school right down here. This is the road that we're going to get looked at for design assistance. So making sure that we cross here and just follow the route that we want the students to bike for daily to and from school. Defining who does what. RPD will stop traffic here on 11th. Safe routes to school coordinator will stop here. Just making sure everybody knows their role. Letting everybody know that media will be present, who potential interviewees may be. Student waiver, just making sure that you get 1 or 2 students that are prepped and ready to potentially talk to the media. Media loves talking with the students, so then thanking all the members for coming out. That ends what I have. If there's any questions?
Thanks, Dustin. That was you and Kelly are 2 peas in a pod, like a lot of information packed into a small amount of time. How much time do you feel like, if you were going to estimate, because you like there's media stuff and there's like all the different things where you're prepping slides and sending out information to all the different schools, how much time does this take you? Seems like a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, now that we've gotten it down to almost the science, I mean, even for walk to school day, the time we spend on it now is not as much as it once was, but if you're just starting out a program, I mean, yeah, it definitely is weeks of planning, several hours. I mean, now that we know the partners that we can rely on, the partners that we can trust to do exactly what they're going to say, it just, yeah, it's gotten much easier now. I know for winter walk to school day, like me and Joanne called each other like, what are we missing? How is this so easy? Like, what is going on? And we just have, we know everything. So we created the plan, made sure everybody knew what they were doing, and we knew we could rely on them just because of, how they've came through with for us in the past.
Well, that's great, and I feel like it's such a good example of building up your capacity over time, right? It doesn't all happen immediately at once and become easy. It's a thing you practice like everything else. So,
Yep.
I did have one other question, which I was curious with your what you called the after action report, I think. Is that like something you do as a survey? Do you like bring everybody together for a conversation? How do you collect that information?
Yeah, we do. We just talk about it as a group. I think we'll come together with all the partners that kind of planned the event and just figure it out from there. And that's kind of how we come up with some of the, the multi-dimensional factors. Is like, it's easy. It was easy to plan just a bike to school day where you just have students biking in, but how can we make it more effective, with some of the other things that we wanted to do. So yeah, I think we just have and then we take feedback, yeah, from all the partners and so.
Cool. Cool. Sounds like a generative conversation. Awesome. Well, if other folks have questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A at the end, but I'm going to keep us on time and cue you up, Peter. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and I think Max is going to run your slides, so we might need a little bit of timing coordination to make sure all that
Yeah, for
works
sure.
out this morning. But all right, I can see the slides. Hopefully other folks can too.
Yay.
With that,
I
I'll
can
toss
see
it to
them
you,
too.
Peter.
Right on. Hi, my name is Peter Maxwell. I'm the physical education teacher at Bancroft Elementary in South Minneapolis, just south of Lake Street and west of Cedar, east of Chicago, and north of 42nd Street is our most recent comprehensive district redesign stamp in Minneapolis. And so that has changed the way we do our cycling events or our walking to school or the walking buses and different things like that. Because we went from 9 school buses to 3. We have 3 school buses now. So mostly everybody that comes to Bancroft is within a small jurisdiction right around the school. So in many ways that's good, and then in other ways it's just different. But I just want to say thank you to people like Dustin for going and putting all this stuff out so that I can just like, as a school teacher, I can do my thing and then like jump on Dustin's train and get that going. Without people like them, I'm not the kind of organizational big picture kind of person like Dustin. I'm the putting kids on their bikes and getting them on rolling. So I really appreciate you, Justin, for doing all that. We have people here all over Minnesota and Minneapolis that do it, and we'll move on from there. Yeah, this poster is the poster I put outside the gymnasium area, and it's a really cool thing that I can put the event. I can change the date. If you look closely, you can see that my date is different than the winter one because that the day we had the walk to school is just didn't jive with us. So I like okay, everybody, we're gonna meet here on this day because like it's down the street. And when I coordinate it, I have to just do it with our crossing guard, and they walk up instead of going around the school on the corners. I had them walk towards Outerhorn Park, which is just north about 4 blocks, and then the crossing guards helped us there. And that's the day we did the walking from Powderhorn Park in February. And I also did it last spring. I think last spring, maybe last fall. 22 was my first one, but I think it was 23 of in May that I did it. And we can roll forward with the next slide.
Oh,
So yeah, that was it. Yeah. So this is the group of friends and school members, parents that showed up for the February walk to school. And, you know, some kids showed up on their bikes too. So that was really, really great. And appreciate you sending us the stickers. They really help. They love the stickers. They love the reflectors, the Minnesota reflectors. I hand those out, bookmarks, you know, just like creating a buzz. And they love all that stuff. They put them on their helmets, keep them on their bikes. And this has grown our cycling community, just having these events. And even if they're just walking over at school, and even on the bike ride the during the spring when I had it and not exclusively obviously, but when I had, you know, there was a bike to school day, we still had a walking contingent, and they all got stickers and bookmarks and all that stuff too. So I had a one group of people walk, and that direction when they walk is straight to school. And then the cyclists, I take them around the park, Powderhorn Park, and get them comfortable with, you know, where the trails are on the park. And of course there was, you know, a big, huge, you know, construction zone that we had to figure out a way to go around. Even though I did the pre-ride the day before, that morning, there was this giant motor digging holes on the side of the park, and we had to figure it out. But you know, that's what it is. That's what it is around our place. You never know what you're going to run into, and you just take it as you go. And teach the kids to, you know, go off the curb, and they're going to get on the street, and they're going to get back on the curb. And it was all good. It was lots of learnable moments back then, and on every ride basically. We can go to the next slide. This is my partner in cycling, Jennifer. She's good enough to show up here on February on her bike. I mean, this winter was a winter that we'll probably never forget. As a skier, I hope to forget it soon. I prefer last winter over this winter, but Jennifer was still kind enough to show up and help us out. Yeah, she's in charge of the wellness center, the food service at the Minneapolis Public Schools, and helps me with the bike trailers and all that good stuff. So I just want to give a shout out to Jennifer here showing up and helping me with my events. We can next slide. This is the event that, you know, kind of thing that Dustin was talking about that we did in Minneapolis, where a group of us from Bancroft met at Ann Sullivan. It was a ride over there, and then we went for a ride there, and then we had a ride back. This spring, it's designed to be at the Davis Center. And so that's going to be another big ride. And so my numbers kind of dwindle as it gets bigger and bigger and, you know, longer and longer. But we're building it up, you know. I was like, I may just bring as many as I can get to come, and then just kind of keep growing it and growing it and growing it, and just trying to put out there. But we had a great time, and like I said, there was so much organization going on there, closing the roads, forest marshals. It was great. It's a great event. I hope to do it again. And that was last spring. Oh, wait, no, man, I don't know. I think maybe it was this fall. I can't remember. Sorry. No, it was last spring. Next slide. This is the route. So if you look closely, when Jennifer sends me the tray, I just wanted to show this because this is my school, and this is where I teach the students to ride on the streets and how closely the bike paths are. So this is the bike path that I make. So like Dustin said before, you want to make it clear, where they're going to be riding, how long this is going to take. But this is a bike safety unit slide that I use for just riding the bike trailer bikes that Jennifer brings to the school from the wellness center. And this is how I get them motivated to do the big event on those days. And it's really key, like Dustin said, to have a good idea, not only for the students, but the parents like to know where the kids are going to be riding around too. And where these two are joined to make this figure eight, this is a bike lane in Minneapolis. And so if you're familiar with 40th, this is a bike lane. It's pretty cool. A little circuit. And the best way to learn is to get out there and do it with the students. And there's a hill that goes downhill and the hill that goes uphill. And like I said, I have students that are, in 5th grade and 4th grade, that aren't comfortable with going down the hill. I'm like, well, if we're trying it, we're doing it, just walk down the hill and we'll put it in an easier gear and then we can just walk up, or just trying is doing for me. So everybody gets the hang of it. And, like a memory that you were talking about, Elissa, is, having a student walk down the hill and then by the end of the unit, they rode down the hill. It's a nugget. Those are the nuggets. Those are better than my rides here in California for sure. Next slide. Yeah, so this is them, putting up their peace signs. They got to do their thing and they just love it. And I put this slide in because like it's raining. The principal's like, I don't know, you want to do this? And the kid's like, yes, we want to do it. We just, they just get wet. They're gonna ride in the snow. They're gonna do it. So just go out and do it, and they get comfortable and they get excited. As this is a great picture. Next slide. Okay, the Strider bikes. So in the previous slide, those were 5th and 4th grade students, and like I said, some were walking down the hills, now knowing how to use brakes. And these Strider bikes, now I can get almost everybody in the 1st grade knowing how to do the pedal bikes. And these things are magic. This is a nugget. Every time somebody learns how to pedal, whether they've been to the school one day or the whole time since high five, if they just show up and they start pedaling, these things are magic. And that's been my goal, is like I want to make sure that everybody in 4th and 5th grade comes out of Bancroft and knows how to ride a bike and use the brakes and pedal. And because you'll know there are students that are in 4th and 5th grade that don't know how to ride a bike, and it's not at Bancroft. We're all gonna do it. Thank you. All right, next slide. Okay, MNDOT, thank you. I can put the art teacher on board, send her the thing that we're gonna do and the pictures, and my students are like, hey, Mr. Maxwell, where am I gonna see my drawing on the internet? It's like, well, we'll have to wait and see when it's coming. So they were so jazzed. They put it in, and then I have these coasters, these cubbies where I hang up the bikes, the Strider bikes, and I postered these just on the side of those, so everybody's put them on display. So they're famous, so don't worry about it. You don't have to put us on the top of the internets or wherever. They're good. All right. Okay. I mean, that's what it is. I really appreciate y'all having me, and yeah, pictures and this kids. Yeah, right. That's why I do it. I'm in the dream job. I love it.
Peter, that was so much fun. I had so much fun. Just like going on the journey of your bike to school day experience with you all. I love that you talked about like trying is doing. That's so accessible for kids and like for all of us. I think that's like really applicable to bike to school day and like the work that we're all doing. Trying is doing. We will like make progress on the things as we can. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just feeling so energized seeing
right on.
all those pictures of kids and hearing about all of the things that you're working on. So, and I
Great.
see other folks in the chat chiming in that they are too. So thank you so much for joining us. I do want to make sure Tina has enough time to present. So I'm going to move past any other questions and have Tina introduce herself and go ahead and get started. And then any other questions we have, I think we'll probably have a couple minutes.
I've been getting emails from people in the Northeast region and actually got one this morning.
Hi guys, I'm Tina Sanders. I'm with Safe Kids Grand Forks. Safe Kids Grand Forks has a huge coverage area. So our office is in East Grand Forks here in Minnesota. And we cover a huge portion of northwestern Minnesota as well as northeastern North Dakota. So we get to see a lot of different schools. With that, we kind of need to really rely on a lot of collaboration in order to make any of our activities happen. With our winter walk to school day, we had 11 schools participate on both sides in North Dakota and Minnesota together. So collaboration was absolutely the thing that made that happen, that made it work for us. So because of that large coverage area, we really did have to tap into a whole lot of partners. And some of those partners were really easy ask. Obviously, Vision Zero and TZD were already kind of focused on the same sorts of goals that we have. Public health departments obviously were a natural fit, as well as our school nurses, because really in talking about active transport, we're talking about safety on my end, but we're talking about health on their end. So it was absolutely a beautiful dovetail. One that was really surprising for us that became a partner and has become a very good partner for us was our Grand Forks Housing Authority. The Housing Authority tapped into us last summer because they were noticing some issues with kids riding around the complexes on their bikes, not terribly safely, obviously not using helmets very frequently. And we happened to have a cool partnership with United Way that was going to be giving away some bikes. They had a donation. So that led to us hosting a bike rodeo and getting helmets on heads and that sort of thing. So when we started talking winter walk to school day, that felt like a really natural partnership. And with their complexes, we were able to host some walking school buses with them. One of the things that has was kind of a unexpected benefit was a lot of our collaboration included law enforcement. And at some of these complexes, they've had a lot of really negative interactions with law enforcement. This was a super positive interaction with law enforcement. And a lot of these children that maybe don't see police as a positive influence in the community got to see them in a different light. So I thought that was absolutely beautiful and really amazing to get to share with those kiddos. Because we had such that huge planning group that we were working with, including our blue zones, including Housing Authority, our public health agencies and that sort of thing, we were able to highlight some local celebrity guests that were able to come to each of our events. And I say celebrities because if you are in the 3rd grade and you see a fire truck roll up, that is celebrity. If you see a law enforcement officer or the UND Hawk showing up at school and willing to walk to school with you, those are celebrities. Other celebrities we were able to tap into were folks that I would view as a celebrity. The kids didn't really care about necessarily, but people like our school board members and city council members and mayor. Those folks I feel like were super important to have on board, like Dustin mentioned, because it's really important for them to see kind of some of the reasons why the kids aren't walking to school on a regular basis, why it takes big events like this to get kids actively getting to school. They need to see the challenges that we're kind of facing, and that it's such a car culture, even though we have in Grand Forks alone 11 neighborhood schools, yet most of the kids, more than 60% of the kids at each of those schools, are being driven to school, regardless of the fact that most of them live within a half a mile.
3-4 counties asked for seats, maybe.
So some of the celebrities that we said, I mentioned the UND Hawk. We had costumed mascots at every single school. Some of the costumes were provided by Safe Kids, and through our Boost grant, we were able to get a few costumes. Some were loaned or donated from friends that we have. And then some were the different agencies that we tapped into to come. That doesn't speak necessarily to a lot of safety topics. However, it was such a visual, amazing thing to have at the schools. The children really were drawn to those costumes, and they were able to have those visitors. The other was, like I said, fire and law enforcement. And these folks came out in droves. Not only were they escorting children with their lights on from one point to another, making sure that they were safe in the roads. They were making sure to greet kids. They were serving as crossing guards. And we had a little bit of a battle at one of our schools. We had some law enforcement officers, and we had some firefighters. The kids got to choose whose group they went with to walk to school, the 3 blocks to school from a remote drop-off location. Firefighters won almost every time. So the law enforcement guys were a little bit bummed out. But I think that was another really amazing opportunity, was that we had remote drop-off locations. Like I said, most of our schools, about 60% of the kids are dropped off. At some schools, it's even more. And so we set up church parking lots or business parking lots nearby the school, so that every single child, regardless of how they normally get to school, could participate, because their drop-off could be there. In the third picture over, where you see the 2 kiddos standing on the snow hill, that's in Fisher, Minnesota. And our folks in Fisher, because our superintendent is one of the bus drivers, he got all the buses to stop at our remote drop-off location. So every single child that went to Fisher Elementary was a walker that day, because the buses dropped off there too. So that was an amazing collaboration that made our event even bigger. One of the groups that we were able to tap into because of our partnership was our UND student athletes. And these young athletes came out in droves. It was a reciprocal thing. They had to meet some community service requirements, but what a great way to do it, in cheering on kids that are walking to school. The other was our ambulance service with Altru Hospital, and they appeared at a few of our schools in order to escort kids from the remote drop-off location to the school. And as soon as the kids that were already at school saw the lights going, they would start cheering at the fence for their friends to get to school. So it was such a cool, huge visual for those kids to see. But we had 11 schools, like I said, nearly 1,000 children over the 3 days that we celebrated Winter Walk to School Day walked. We now have even more schools. We have added now 4 at this moment, more schools that will be participating in Bike to School Day, which of course means that we need more collaborative partners, of course, to make that happen. But we've got some groups that we've worked with because of our Safe Routes to School Boost grant in some of our schools in Bike, Thief River Falls, that are going to be hosting that. And I think that's one of the things that I really had to let go of. I don't know if you guys don't know me very well, but I once I have a project, I tend to want to really hold on to it. And I've had to really kind of trust in the process. And the folks in Thief River Falls have made it so apparent that they really know their community, and they know the biking so well that very nicely they've kind of said, nope, we've got it. We've got a route already planned. We've got, some celebrities coming. Let me tell you what we need from you. And that has been so delightful, and just such an opportunity for me to learn kind of a local perspective without actually living in that community. So that's been phenomenal. So this is how you get a hold of me. We are really rural in a lot of our communities. So I feel like it's a little bit of a different perspective sometimes in the rural schools than it is in the larger cities. But what we're doing so far, and we're in baby steps right now, we're looking at some other ways that we can make more of these events, but it's been a really fantastic experience.
Try to share those things back. So just, it would be nice to, what is everybody?
Tina, I very much relate to, like, it's my project. I want to do it perfectly, right? Like I want everything to go perfectly. And I think we all here care so much about the work that it can be really hard to let go. But I saw Dustin's note in the chat is right. Like that's the dream, right? Is they don't need you anymore. They don't need any of us anymore, because it just, like it's so ingrained and embedded in the community that it takes care of itself and it has many, many champions. So sign of some successful work. We've got just a couple minutes left before we want to close out. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. I have one question that I would love for all three of you to answer. So I don't know who would want to go first, but I would just love to hear from all of you, like one thing that was really surprising for you in this work, and then also just like a favorite memory, like the best part of this work. I mean, there's like 1,000 best parts of this work, but just thinking about like bike to school day, if there's anything that like jumps to mind when I say like best parts of the work. So I don't know who to toss it to first. What about reverse order? Tina, could I put you on the spot and we'll do Tina and Max and then Dustin?
The collaboration and of course those kind of unusual, I don't want to say unusual, kind of non-traditional partnerships has been really great. The UND student athletes, that was a surprise for me. The housing authority, I feel like I'm going to replicate that in more of my communities because I feel like it's necessary to tap into these communities that maybe need a little bit more support, and absolutely have been welcoming so far in what we wanted to do.
Great surprises. Peter, anything stand out to you as particularly surprising or particularly great?
I just think that like Tina said, the marshals for the event and the organization for the route, they had the local Washburn swim team show up, and I mean they were like totally into it, and that was the surprising thing, that they all showed up and stood there with their jackets and blocked the traffic, and then we stopped and then waited for them all to ride by us to go and do the second part of the trip, and just the organization behind the scenes there, and the actual marshals groups to make it safe and fun for all the kids. It felt like we were in a race, where everybody's like cheering us on. It was outstanding.
Best kind of race where everybody wins. Dustin, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I just think how big of an impact that it does make. I mean, the schools still talk about this day that we did with them, and it's just one day out of the school year, but I mean, it's a impactful memory that they do have. And we did a bike giveaway last year at one of the elementary schools, and the student actually received the bike to go on the ride with. He didn't know he was going to be able to keep it. And then after the ride, we did a presentation, brought him up there, and our police department was up there, and it's like, hey, you're going to we talked with all your teachers. You've been doing such a good job this year that you're going to receive this, be able to keep the bike, a helmet and a bike lock. So, and all the students cheered him on. The principals were out there. All the partners were out there. So it was super cool.
That is really cool. That's amazing. That's so good. I did a quick scan of the chat, and I do see one other question that I think, Dustin, you started to respond to, but I would love to see if you had anything to add, or if Peter or Tina had anything. So the question is, do you have tips for pitching an idea to a school that's maybe feeling stretched thin or might not have extra capacity? Dustin, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your response for folks who are watching the recording and won't get access to the chat.
Yeah, I would say just start small. I mean, make it manageable. Ask what, they can, do at that time. Like if we can only bike with 10 students, if we have a few students that we want to do this with, start small and just build it up, which is what we did. And it's worked out good. Once we knew our capacity, how many partners we could rely on, and just show them that it's not like, hey, we're just pushing everything onto you to do an extra thing, which I think was what the concern of them is. They have a lot going on already to do extra stuff. So just showing them that you have all these partners that are able to do a lot of the work, and then just start small and see, what your capability is, and then just, grow it from there.
Peter or Tina, any thoughts on that question?
One of the things that we did is we kind of made a short checklist for the schools of very manageable things. If you have a PA system, we need that to play our music in front of school. If you have hot water facilities, we're going to do cocoa. So we need that from you. So giving them some small, very doable things. And it helped obviously that I had a very large community presence to draw from. But making it baby steps, this being the first year that some of these schools have ever participated in Walk to School Day. Next year, we might ask for a little bit more. We might ask for some staff members that can help on the planning committee. But yeah, starting very small, like Dustin said, I think that's huge way to get them involved.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And when I mentioned Jennifer with the wellness, the food service nutrition center collaboration with the bikes and Lifetime Sports, or having I didn't show the slide, but there was a food truck from the wellness center at these events. And everybody always comes when they're going to get a sandwich. I think, so it's like food generates interest too. So that was a really important thing, because then, it was a big ride, so they had to eat, and then we rode back to school. But having some snacks is always good. And yeah, and I will hit you up for our ride, Minnesota, and then call you over when I have my ride from Powderhorn. And then when we go to the district over to the Davis Center, that's a bit of a ride for us. So I might need some more help for you, and I will let you all know. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, and I appreciate the reminders about some of it is just, it's the basics, right? It's like some hot beverages, some sugar, some food, things that make it feel like community and things that make it feel fun and exciting. I think I heard everybody on this call today say fun is important. Fun is a goal. Fun is a primary thing that we are trying to do here. So appreciate all the different ways that you're surfacing of making that happen. We are at 5 till, so I think I'm going to say thank you to Tina and to Peter and to Dustin. I feel so energized, and I feel like there are so many big tips and small tips. I hope folks are also able to take some of that away from our call today. And with that, I'm going to close us out. I'll do a little share screen of the upcoming calls. So our next network call is at the beginning of May, when you are all hopefully well adjusted and back from spring break. I hope folks get some rest and time away this week. And we're going to be talking about traffic gardens, which I know very little about, so I'm very excited about this call. And then we will obviously have one more call in June, but there isn't a call in July because we have a meetup. We're going to be doing the 2024 meetup on Thursday, July 18th in St. Paul. Please save the date. We'll get a full program for the day soon, but it will not cost anything, and we will feed you. So please come, please join us. We'll make sure to send out registration to the Safe Routes email list. If you are not on that, please ping my colleague Max. He will make sure that you get on the email list so you get calendar invites and updates every month. And we hope to see all of you on the next network call on May 2nd and also in person sometime this summer. So thank you for being here, and have a good rest of your spring break week, those of you who are on spring break, and we will see you soon. Take care.